Okay, we started this item in the last week, agrarianization. If we would like to understand the story of humankind, story of human evolution, we can identify some milestones. The first milestone, domestication of fire. The second milestone, agrarian revolution. The third milestone is urban revolution, founding of city and the city, unfolding of city network. And the last one, industrial revolution. But recently there is a revolutionary period, but a little bit. If we are looking at the 21st century, we are a little bit in the technological tramp. Technological tramp means we are using the technology of 19th century. Because in the 19th century invented the electric engine, combustion engine, using of fossil fuels. Therefore, in the 20th century, invented only one innovation, nuclear power. The nuclear power a little bit dangerous, and no any other. Look at, for example, cars. For example, you know the very famous T model, which constructed a Ford company in the United States. And recently, the BMW, the very fast German car, no technological difference, only the service. No any other. The same technology. The same technology. And recently, one reason of contemporary problems is we are a tramp of technology. We are not able to jump over the technological boundary, technological fence, and somehow slow down. Do you know the science fiction? No? Because on my time, I am generation of great travel to the moon. It's Apollo program in the United States and the Soyuz in Russia, in the Soviet Union. And for example, in the 70s, long before your birthday, I read a novel, a science fiction novel, about the future. For example, on the time of second millennia. We are over 25 years. The second millennia, according to novel, we will travel to the moon, like a fashionable weekend location. But it's not true. The technological development turned not to the space, not to the travel to the space, but the communication, much more. And for example, I was very surprised. I was 16 years old, when used first time telephone. 16. I didn't live in the mental hospital, but using a telephone, it was a normal, for example, in my social environment, a small village. And for example, some weeks ago, I looked at, for example, a podcast, you know, and recently, for the young actor, necessary teach how use the traditional telephone. It's with cable. Because in one theater, director of the theater, it's told the story that the young actress take in other direction of old style telephone. The cable is up because never used before. It's other technology. Okay, but turn back to the story. This is the second milestone, agrarianization. As I mentioned in last week, or 2 weeks, not last week, 2 weeks ago, the most important jump of agrarian revolution, jump from hunting, gathering subsistence system to the early phase of agrarian activity. As I mentioned, this was the last slide 2 weeks ago. American anthropologist Richard Borshley analyzed the lifestyle of Kungs, it's a Bushman people in the Kalahari Desert. It's not so high hospitality because it's very hard lifestyle. And I hope you remember, even in the desert, 2 days. 2 days was enough, gathering the minimal condition of the survival. 5 days, it's a free time. 2 days, only working time. Recently, look at the modern society. If you look the Bible, in the Bible, 6 days for work, under 1 day for recovery. But not by chance, in the traditional hunting gathering, 5 days for leisure and only 2 days for working. Not by chance that in the classical stories of Bible and the Gilgamesh and other one are lost Eden, lost garden Eden. This is the hunting gathering society. Other question, why turn to agrarian activity from the hunting gathering? The solving this problem, it's a circumscribed area. Circumscribed area means a closed area. Look at the Nile. It's the best known example of agrarian revolution. Look at this is the Mediterranean Sea, a Red Sea, a Sahara Desert, and the great tropical forest of Sudan. Therefore, a valley of Nile, closed area, increased the population, overpopulated, and very important that the agrarian activity, plant farming, is 50-fold, not 50-fold higher the carrying capacity. Therefore, it's a nuclear explosion in the demography. Therefore, the population increased. The same location, it's a Mesopotamia, it's a Tigris and Euphrates, it's a closed area, mountain area, Persian or Arabic Gulf, and the Syrian desert, and the Mediterranean Sea, a closed area, therefore overpopulated, and the pressure of overpopulation launched the procedure of agrarian activity and agrarian domestication of animal and domestication of plants. The same story unfolded in Indus Valley in India, and the great, which is the river, it's Yangtze River in China. The same story. It's a circumscribed closed area in Mexico and in the Andes, closed area somehow from, in this case, Pacific Ocean and the Andes. In this area are Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean, and it's a very closed area. Therefore, agrarian activity, not a free leisure, free time activity, it's started, launched, a trigger in consequence of overpopulation and the pressure of overpopulation. If we are looking at human evolution, very important identify two directions, two branches of human evolution. The first one, biological evolution. Our body, compared, for example, former species of human, changed a lot. We are much weaker, for example, decrease the number and the structure of mouth and the teeth and the muscles. And for example, there is a comparison in the modern society, the pressure of hand, which is the pressure of hand. And recently, the pressure of hand we able to make, recently, one male pressure of hand, same like at the beginning of 20th century, the pressure of hand of women. Therefore, we are weaker and weaker and weaker. Because no physical activity. In the traditional time, had a lot of physical works. And the division between male and the female work, obviously based to the physical condition. But recently, generation by generation, became a weaker. Moreover, the activities became more specialized. Look at, for example, if somebody became a soldier, professional soldier, take a gym every day 2 times, and became very strong people. But the average, much lower. And decrease the aggressivity. It's possible I asked you recently how many percent of death in the modern society it's consequence of violence. A car accident is some form of the violence. How many percent? This is a guess.
I think not so much.
Not so much. 1%.
Yeah.
Only 1%. Why? Because we are watching newspapers, electric or paper-based. I would imagine it's very aggressive. It's not true. It's not true. Traditional time, it was very aggressive. For example, my father's generation, I am quite late child. Therefore, my father was born 19th century, 1926. And he told to me for why one child, peasant child, had a knife on the pocket. Everybody. And it sometimes pick each other. For example, dance hall and the pub. It was a dangerous. Each people was a dangerous. This everyday aggressivity. And if we are looking at the trajectory of human cultural evolution, time by time became peaceful and more peaceful. Look at, for example, in the Middle Ages, for example, a head of a household killed somebody. It wasn't a criminal. It was a normal. And look at the trajectory. After the organization of absolute state, the early form of the state in the early modern time, the 16th, 17th, 18th century, the judging about the life or death take to the hand of government. Therefore prohibited killing the people each other. And the modern time, nobody, but the people who receive a capital sentence is killed by the government, by the professional killer. And in the modern time, no capital sentence. No capital sentence. Nobody killed even by the state in the frame, for example, of European Union. But for example, other indicator, beating of child. Beating of child. My generation, for example, I'm a little bit older than you, and my generation in the elementary school, it was a normal part of education, a beating. Recently, it's a criminal. Recently, the criminal changed. Therefore, if we are following the cultural evolution, it became more peaceful. And violence became a job of well-educated professionals, mercenaries, soldiers, secret service, and agent, and so on. So, okay. Biological evolution became weaker and weaker and weaker, and social evolution. It's very important. Social evolution, it's generation by generation, the society became more stronger, gathering information and passing other. A new generation never start from the same position that the former one. Technology and the social organization. There is a very famous example of Yuval Noah Harari. It's possible I told about him. It's a very famous historian of published a lot of books. It's sold more million pieces. Harari wrote one seminal book about human evolution. The title is Sapiens, which is the peculiarity of the sapiens. And the first example of him, look at, for example, a stadium, a football stadium. For example, 10,000 or 20,000 people able to sit down and look in the match. But look at, for example, the apes, gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzee, not able to collaborate. Therefore, one of the most important peculiarity of humankind, which is the reason of the great success, a social organization and capacity of collaboration, capacity, organized activity of humankind. The classical example of Harari, look at the rivalry, one orangutan and one human. Who is the winner? Orangutan. Look at the 10 human and the 10 orangutan, who are the winner? The 10 orangutan. But you take 1,000 orangutans and 1,000 humans, who are the winner? Humans. Because apes not able to organize a large community for organized activities style. Okay, look at the next one. Look at the physical environment. Sorry for that. One physical environment, which was a place of human evolution, the mountain areas. If we have mountain areas, it's 60 meters above, it's 46% of continental areas, and a very important advantage of these mountain areas, cultivation easier because the vegetation weaker. Lower danger of diseases because lower temperature, and natural fortification, and very important, look at, for example, the Bible. It's a symbiosis between peasant and the herders. Look at the story of, in the Bible, Cain and Abel. Not important, but it was the first rivalry, because Cain was a farmer, and Abel a herder. It's a shepherd. It was a twin, and hate each other because both of them offer, for example, how the name is, offer one part of production for the God, and the God only accepted offer of Abel. He was a shepherd. This was a rivalry for the priest position, who communicate directly online version with the God. And the Cain became very angry and killed his brother, younger brother. Okay, anyway, peasant and herder. Look at the next physical environment, river and the lake and the seaside. Water, it's very important, source of food, for example, fishes, travel of trade. Before the appearance of railway network, the cheap trade not possible only near to the water surface. Trade based, and the great civilization, not by chance, appeared near to the lake or river or sea side. This society, Australian historian Wittfogel named hydraulic society based to the water, and a free empire identified Russian historian river-based society, for example Egypt, a classical Nile river-based society, and a sea-based society, for example a Roman Empire organized around the Mediterranean Sea, and the ocean-oriented society like the British Empire in the 19th century. Therefore, the water may be a surface of political, economic, and military integration. The third important historical landscape, steppe and savanna area. In the steppe and savanna area appeared the nomadism. Nomadism, like for example, in the Hungarian history, played a very important role, the nomadism. We live in the great steppe corridor between China and between Europe. And the people who lived in the steppe corridor wandering westward generally. Okay, crucial role of the trade, of course, because it's based to the animal husbandry, any other product necessary buy from merchant traders. Okay, and the next one, historical landscape, the forest area. Majority of people, for example, Celtic people, German people, Slavic people, came from the forest. And a very interesting story, that which is the classical alcoholic drink of the forest people. The beer. Each people, Celtic and German and the classical Slavic, and for example, it's very exceptional, popularized vodka in Eastern Slavic people. You know the story why? Because originally each Russian drank beer. The classical in the Middle Ages and early modern, but occupied the Ukrainian steppe area and started plant farming. And the productivity very high. Probably you know the fertility. I remember 10% of most fertile rural area located in Ukraine, occupied and produced enormous quantity of harvest, and no any technology of using, no chance for export via Black Sea, no reason for making a bread because very low density of population, and which is the most efficient technology of conservation, making vodka, because it's a wheat-based alcohol. And Russians on the time received very, very low price. And for example, the people on service of the state received the salary in vodka and became generation by generation more and more popular. But originally, the Russian didn't like the vodka because it's a beer drinker like any other forest people in Europe. Okay. Which were the most important and the first domesticated plants. The first wheat and the second one a barley. You have some agrarian experience?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, it's not of course, because majority of urban people no direct agrarian experience. Probably you know which is the color, the typical color in kindergarten of the cattle. Purple. Why? Because after the Milka chocolate paper. Yeah, because generally majority of urban people never met personally with real cattle, real cow. Okay, anyway, wheat and the barley. This is the pipe of the wheat and the pipe of the barley. Very important evolution. Which is the technology of evolution? Evolution, it's not possible to limit. Therefore, in the frame of evolution, a lot of different mutations appear. And for agrarian revolution, very important a suicide mutation. Which is the suicide mutation? Normal condition not able to survive. A suicide mutation of the wheat that even on the harvest time don't able to open the pipe. And the seeds left inside of the pipe. It's a suicide mutation. Normal condition, this kind of mutation, it's die. But the human, the contemporary human, identified this is the best version. Why? Because it's cutting down and the seeds didn't drop from the pipe. Therefore, the contemporary humans selected this kind of mutation. And recently, majority of plants we are using in the global agriculture not able to survive without human activity. Ecological backpack of human, it's filled with not livable animal and the plants. Only able to survive with human activity. Therefore, this kind of plants domesticated and selected the plants which not able to open. It's a mutation. It's a very border mutation, not able to open. Okay, wheat and barley. And the second one, the first domesticated, it's 2A, not a sheep, it's a sheep. Okay, and the goat. My guess, why selected the sheep and the goat? Why not the camel, the horse, and the cattle? Which are the most important advantages these animals?
The milk.
Partly, but the cattle able to produce much more milk. It's true. But
Warning for the children.
yeah, for example, in the case of sheep, but you are not sensible for the lactose. You are not able.
No.
No, I am lactose resistant, and for example, we had a cattle, and I was very surprised. I drank more than half liter of milk, ran to the toilet. But I never somehow understood that there is an interaction between the drinking more than half milk and increased my stomach digestion. And I remember I was 70 years old, listened to the radio, and somebody spoke about lactose resistance. And I understood, this is my problem. Therefore, I drink less than half liter, no problem, but this is the critical quantity. Okay, milk, this is the fur of sheep and able to make cloth and for example, using for making a tent. Okay, other reason.
I think about the meat.
Milk.
The meat.
The
meat. Meat. Fleisch.
Sorry, I don't know.
I think it's correct. Meat.
Meat.
Mm-hmm. It's Fleisch.
Yeah, meat eating. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah, but cattle much larger. It's a smaller one. Or horse, larger one. Small animal. For example, I work together with cattle, and for example, I have hurted my face because a dangerous animal. There is a long horn and pushed to my face. Unfortunately, I survived. It's not so deep injured on my face, but it's dangerous. Such similar accident never happened in the case of sheep because a small animal. Small animal, not so dangerous. A goat a little bit more, but not comparable with the horse, with the cattle, with the camel. It's a large animal. It's a small animal. The third one, herd instinct, flock instinct. It's a walking together, and very easy gardening because living together. And gardening, it's not necessarily more one shepherd and one dog. Because walking, a goat a little bit less, but the herd, a flock instinct, deep instinct. Good. If we are looking at history, as I mentioned at the beginning, a human history, we can divide three great revolutions, according to Gordon Childe. It's a famous Australian philologist and archaeologist. Agricultural or agrarian revolution, urban revolution, and industrial revolution. Look at the story. If we are looking at agrarian history, there are a blacklist, bad consequences of agrarian revolution. The first one, the diet became very monotonous. If you remember the story hunting gathering, it's very easy because only gather edible plants and fruits on the forest, even on the desert area. But in agrarian society, no more, only one or two plants, barley and the wheat, and the diet became very monotonous. For example, probably you're not sure, but it's possible you know the classical Chinese mention that one hand rice enough for survival whole of the day. This is the classical diet of traditional agrarian society. The second one, increase the susceptibility for disease. Why? Because in hunting-gathering society, if somebody became sick, the shaman tried to cure him, but if wasn't success, left alone, isolated, any kind of infection. In the agrarian villages, no chance for that. Infected each other. Therefore, if one infection, one epidemic launch, stopping very hard job. Rise the fertility, but caused higher the mortality, because live together, large community. Not by chance, a body became briefer and the life shorter. If we are looking, for example, one hunting-gathering body, it's taller than 1 meter 70 centimeter. In Egypt, the average size of man, 1 meter 60 centimeter. More than 10 centimeter shorter. Why? Because the normal reaction of the body of underfeeding, you know, there are two kinds of underfeeding. Qualitative underfeeding, not enough fine element, trace element, vitamin, nutrition, and so on. And the quantitative underfeeding, not enough calorie, which is the reaction of the body for underfeeding, became shorter. Look at, for example, it's a general prejudice about the Asian people. It's a shorter. It's not true. Look at for example, the record book of Guinness. Who is the tallest man of humankind? The Chinese. No. The reaction that underfeeding, the adaptation, like for example, when on the oil crisis in the 70s, increased the price of gasoline, decreased the size of cars. This happened on the humankind. If it decreased the diet, decrease the size of body, because much better the survival capacity of shorter one. Okay, nostalgia for the lost paradise, as I mentioned in the Bible and in the Gilgamesh. Pollution of water and air, because if some there is another direction of the feeding. It's a shit. Necessary somehow managing the pollution. And the hierarchical society. In the hunting gathering, each people did the same job. But in the in the traditional agrarian society, appear two communities which are independent from real activity, the priests and the warriors. Therefore, if we are looking the risk of bad consequence of agrarian revolution. Okay, this is the classical example, as I mentioned, how changed the post-glacial hunter and the agricultural society around 4000 before Christ. A women 1 meter 54 centimeter, a women in hunting gathering society 1 meter 68, and the man the same differences, 18 centimeter. The post-glacial and the agrarian society. Okay, very interesting how changed the function of society. Its traditional society became a complex society, and appeared, as Robert Elias, a British cultural anthropologist or historical anthropologist, defined extra-human control, inter-human control, and intra-human control. In the society, it's very important, the control of behavior and of contemporaries. Extra-human control, it's a checking, controlling the physical environment. For example, hewing down trees and the grass and making arable land. It's a cultural landscape. Extra-human control, it's a checking and controlling the landscape, the physical environment of society. Inter-human control means checking and controlling of communication between humans. For example, the legal system. If somebody kills other, it's inter-human control define the punishment. This is a code book, the legal books. This is the inter-human control. And the last one, intra-human control. Even in the antiquity, necessary while thinking the human. Not only in the modern time, not only the generation of the James Bond, 006 or 7, I don't remember, agent, not only the modern time necessary checking the hidden thinking, hidden thought of human, but even in the antiquity. In the antiquity existed a secret service who tried agents of, for example, dynasty of Egypt, agents of Roman Empire, try to clarify the thought of contemporaries. Therefore, inter-human control. If an organized society, we try to describe each form of control, we have to identify extra-human, physical environment, intra-human, human interaction, and the intra-human, the thought of the human. Okay, good. If we are looking at appearance of agrarianization, it's up here the fertile area, Mesopotamia, and the Nile valleys. In this area appear the first generation of villages and the first generation of cities. Good. Look at the urban revolution, the second revolution. We are over domestication of fire, we are over agricultural or agrarian revolution. Look at the urban revolution. Which are the preconditions of urban revolution? The first one, domestication. Domestication of animals and domestication of plants. The second precondition of urban revolution, appearance of the cities, are early invention of energy conversion, wheel, you know, the water mill and the windmill, the wheel, and the sail. Wheel, not only the early engines, water mill and the windmill, but making a coach, a carriages, for example, transport one place to other, the products. And the sail, it's a windmill, and for example, making vessels, making ships. Solar calendar, why so important? Because agrarian activity follow the solar cycle, the seasons, and the metal working. Because the metal working able to make with help of the metals, copper age, bronze age, and finally the iron age. We are living recently even in the iron age because the most important devices make some construction of the iron, much increase the efficiency of the tools. Good. The first city, there is a rivalry between one city of Anatolia, you know the Çatalhöyük, you know Çatalhöyük, it's located to Anatolia, and the other one, it's a recent Turkey, and the other one, Jericho, which described in Bible. Jericho is located near to the Dead Sea in the Valley of Jordan. On the time the Jericho wasn't an agrarian city, it's much more a trading center of contemporary society. But the first, the next one, before the other example, look at how we can describe, how we can define a city. The term of the city. We are living, you was born in, you spent your childhood at city or village?
No, a village.
Village?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. But you are newcomers in the city, like me.
Yeah.
And very interesting to understand what means the city in the historical past and even recent. Necessarily define. The modern science, very important definition. For example, define the screen, define the table, everything necessary to define. Therefore, the first step before analyzing the effect of the cities to the human history, define the concept of the city. In the history, there is a technology of definition. Like, for example, a protocol in hospital. Did you visit it in hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have hospital. When somebody brought to the or walk into the hospital, there is a protocol. For example, checking the blood pressure, for example, taking it's a measuring of temperature, so. And after the protocol, we can, for example, declare which is the problem. And in the modern science, a protocol, for example, in the history, the first step of the checking is looking the past. The people who lived in the antiquity, lived in the Middle Ages, what thought about the city? Look at the first one, St. Augustine, who lived at the turn of Roman decline of the Roman Empire and starting the Middle Age, defined the city. The city is where a forum is kept. It's very clever definition. Why? Because the forum is a public place. A public place. He was born in North Africa. He was the bishop of Hippo, city of Hippo. It's North Africa. It was a part of Roman Empire. Why so clever, this short definition? It's a forum, it's a place of political activity, place of cultural activity, look at the central square of the cities, and the place of economic activity. This is a market. Therefore, a city is a forum, political, cultural, and economic activities place. Okay, Hungarian lawyer István Verbőci in the late Middle Ages defined a city in the Carpathian Basin. City houses surrounded with necessary walls. Therefore, for the middle-aged person, a wall, this was the city. The wall, it's separate the merchant, the burghers, the citizen from the peasant. The wall. The wall. Inside of the wall and outside of the wall, it's basically different word existed. The wall. And although the honest living there is privileged, people who live inside of the city, privileged people. Privileged people. There is a privileges. For example, a free election of the how the name is a leader of city, mayor, free election. For example, direct connection to the king and the legal service of the king. It's privileged status. Vote and the privileged status. The contemporaries thought about a city. This is a privileged place. And there is a self-governance. And according to St. Augustine, this is the center of political, economic, and cultural activities. Okay, this is the contemporaries. Look at the second one. Other step of protocol. Look at the other disciplines, for example, geography. How we can define, how we can approach to the city. For example, geography defines the city, the settlement, on taking advantage of the positional energy, the most intensively. Look at Szeged. Why became Szeged the largest city of the Tisza valleys? Why? One reason, this is the good place crossing through the river, first. Positional energy. But the second one, and very important, it's possible you don't know, Szeged city, not only one river, but two. Not so far from the downtown, flow into the Tisza river, one other river, Moros, came from Transylvania. And in the Middle Ages, the most important products of Transylvania are wooden material and the salt. And Szeged was a place of distribution of Transylvanian products. Therefore, it is a positional energy. Flow into one river to Tisza, which came from Transylvania. Therefore, a positional energy, a geographical positional energy. The second criteria of definition of the city and the region. City and the region. Region never exists, a city never exists without the region. Did you visit it in Marsh Square? This is the central market of the city. Mm-hmm. Okay. And for example, the people who try to sell the vegetables, meats, and a lot of things came from the region of the city, which connected to the city. For example, Szőre, Sándorfalva, the villages and the cities around Szeged, region and the city. And the last one, function of the city. Generally, three groups of the function divided: political, administrative, economic, and cultural. But look at, for example, Oxford. Oxford, this is a city of university. For example, the university student is a free local transport, using of the local transport. Oxford and Cambridge and St. Andrews in Scotland, it's a one function, cultural. Therefore, generally, majority of cities had a lot of different functions. But exist one function cities, like Oxford, Cambridge, or, for example, St. Andrews. And very interesting, in Hungarian history, unfortunately no chunk. In Hungarian history, there is one city which followed a little bit similar trajectory. Its name Sárostatak. I brought it. Good. It's northeastern part of Hungary. Sárostatak. It was one college of Reformed Church. Sárostatak. It's a little bit same like in the British history, Eton College. Eton, before of university, but the best place making preparation for university studies. And between two World War periods, 20s and the 30s, in this secondary school, learned the upper part of elite of Hungarian society. And it's a small city, but had airport between two World War. Because the pupils, it's travel by plane. Unbelievable. And after it's destroyed, but not only in England, not only in France, not only in United States or Germany, started somehow the local forms of education, not in the capital, but very far in the rural area. But unfortunately, after the political change, this trajectory of evolution, the secondary school destroyed. Good. Therefore, jump back to the slide series. It's according to geography, geographical energy, city and the region and function of the city. Okay, look at the historical definition. You can follow the protocol. First step, contemporaries. Second one, science, other discipline, who interested for the even and evolution of city, and look at the history. How they find the history the concept of the city. This is the criteria of city. Two kind of definition technology is, it's a long sentence or list of criteria. This is the second one, list of criteria. Which is the first criterion of city, high number and high density of population. Generally true. If compared to village, higher the population and higher density. But look at, for example, did you visit in Norway? Mm-hmm. In Norway, the lower criterion of city, 200. Mm-hmm. Why? Because low density of population. Therefore, 200 is enough. For example, in France, 6,000. In Greece, 10,000. But it's changed. But the local, according to local comparison and density of population. Did you visit it in Oslo? Mm-hmm. For example, in Oslo, unbelievable place. In Oslo, during the harsh winter time, cold winter time, appear the reindeers, you know. Randy.
Ah, Randy. Ah,
Reindeers.
I know.
Yeah, sorry, my
No, all of it.
Yeah, reindeers. Why? Because density of population. In Oslo, large public parks are. And in consequence of harsh winter, the flock of the reindeers walking southward. And generally didn't realize this is a city. Why? Because large green surfaces. And walking even into the downtown, and the policemen gardening and the employees of the local zoo gardening back. Low density of population, low density of building area. Okay, the next criteria, population determining part, not primary produce, not a Pisa. It's generally true, but for example, in Hungarian history, there are exceptions. Because in Hungary, it's very popular, a wine production. And some smaller city specialized to the wine production, able financing the city status. City state, Pisa, but wine producer, Pisa. Differentiated society, two reasons: professional differentiation and social differentiation. Look at, for example, Venice. Venice, did you visit in Venice? Venice, in Italy, northern Italy.
No.
Interesting place, very interesting place. I almost didn't receive my diploma in consequence of visiting Florence. I received a scholarship and turned back, and I look at the landscape of Venice, and I decided I didn't continue my traveling back. And because I was a geographer student, I have a field trip. But I look at Venice and I decided that I am not interested for the rural field trip in Hungary. I would like to see Venice, unbelievable place, not comparable any other city in Europe. Why? Because founded in the frame of Byzantine Empire. It's a very, very orthodox, old style city, no comparable. It's an unbelievable place. I suggest to you visiting in Venice. It's no comparable Milan or Florence or any other. It's exceptional. It's much closer to the classical Constantinople. Okay, differentiation of society. And if you, for example, in the Middle Ages, if you're looking at Venice, citizen of Venice, the full citizenship had only 13%, a tiny part of. Any other lived in the city, but no full citizenship. The criterion of full citizenship, one building. Ownership, one building. Not only one apartment, one building. Not only one flat, one building. And it was a generally guiding rules that for full citizenship necessary buy one building in the city. The second one, a region. Around the city there is a region, but region not so easy to define. For example, one city like Amsterdam. Amsterdam, it's very easy to travel everywhere to the world. For example, if we are looking, for example, the expense of travel, in Amsterdam, very close to Indonesia. Much closer if we are, for example, calculating the expense of the travel than, for example, Marseille to Paris. Much farther. Because necessary travel on foot or by carriage. In, for example, between Indonesia in the Indian Ocean and Amsterdam, much cheaper because floated on the commercial ships. Much lower rate of the price. Region and the fortification. Generally true. It's a wall, you remember, definition of Verbiers. Wall around the city. It's true, but had a lot of exceptions. For example, in England, after the losing of continental connection, nobody constructed the wall around the city. It's island. not necessary, and save a lot of money. Because the wall construction and the reconstruction is very expensive. Very interesting, but no any word about the market. No any word about the market in the case of city. Why? Because form of allocation of the goods, not only the market used, had a market. You know how function the market, you can see on the Marsh square. It's a city market, it's a normal. But had two forms of the distribution. For example, rent distribution. You know which is the rent distribution. For example, this is the tax system. The citizen pay in to the budget, and the government redistribute according to interest of government, interest of contemporaries, construct, for example, a central bureaucracy, organize army, organized, for example, railway network, therefore redistribute. And the last one, reciprocal forms. You know which is the reciprocal forms? Reciprocal forms, for example, it's a, in Hungary, I don't know which is the situation in Germany, but in Hungary, Hungarian society, a lot of period of Hungarian history, it's very poor. Therefore, somehow try to avoid the direct pay. A reciprocal form, it's a technology avoiding of, for example, there is a young couple, no money. Young couple would like to construct one building. And no money for paying for workers. And invite friends and relatives for free. This is the help banks for free, making the and making a building. Pay necessary to pay for the bricks, for the cement, for the raw material of construction, but the work is a free.
Yeah.
But necessary taking back. But if somebody never asks back, it's not fault, because the direct, the guiding force of the reciprocal forms, the needs, not the balancing of the service. It's an old style of poor society. For example, these reciprocal forms, even the bank life used in Bangladesh. For example, some years ago, one banker of Bangladesh received a Nobel Prize using the reciprocal forms in the bank service. Good. Look at the first real city. The first real city was a Sumerian city in Mesopotamia. Uruk was a city of Gilgamesh. King Gilgamesh. You know the story? You know about the Gilgamesh? It's the same story and the same classical novel of literature like the Bible, but about a Gilgamesh king. This is a great story of Gilgamesh. And very interesting, it's possible I ask you about the closest friend of Gilgamesh. Word. It's a epos of Gilgamesh. He was a king, Gilgamesh, king of Uruk city. And his closest friend was Enkidu. Enkidu was a white warrior, lived on the mountain. And Gilgamesh, King Gilgamesh, invited Enkidu to be friend and bodyguard. But Enkidu was a free man. He wanted to be a serviceman beside the king. And Gilgamesh invited. And finally used a device of temptation. And used two forms of temptation, which was so strong for Enkidu that became friend and bodyguard. You know some idea which was this temptation?
No.
No? The first one, the wine. The wine.
Okay.
Wine is a civilization, products of civilization. and make a floating spirit somehow. The second one, the civilized woman. A civilized woman. A woman lived in the mountain even, but the civilized woman, and this is the solving recipe of the barbarians even know. The civilization service of wine, or generally the civilization products, and the civilized woman. Domestication of white warriors, this is the most reliable recipe even now. Okay, jump back to the story. Sumerian city, it was very interesting construction. Very interesting construction. On the core area, constructed a pyramids. This was a church somehow, and a place of ruling. It was a typical construction in Egypt, in Central America, and even in Mesopotamia. It was a very large construction. The wall around the city, 9 kilometers long. Why? Because inside of the wall lived not only the builded area, but the flocks, the sheep, the cattle, the horses. This was the civilized world. 100 hectares, and the population, unbelievable high, 50 to 60,000 people lived inside of the city. The second step, this was the city. The civilization appeared in the frame of the cities. The second step, empire. And in the frame of empire, the cities started to specialize. Specialized, for example, in the frame of Babylon Empire, cities specialized. The first specialized city, the capital, on the top. You know this gate?
No.
Babylon. This was one of the main gate of Babylon. Istar, god of Near East pantheon of the gods. Where located recently? Berlin, Museum of Berlin. This is the story of lot of monuments and sculptures of Near East. British Museum, Louvre, or Museum of Berlin, and recently in American museums. It's colonialism consequences. Okay. Anyway, this was the first specialized city capital. The second specialized city on the boundary of empire, Babylon Empire, Ecbatana. Ecbatana was a great fortress, specialized to the saving of empire. This was the second specialization. It's a great castle with soldiers. And the third specialization, the trade cities, because in the antiquity, no international law, no international legal system. Nobody there, for example, traveling to the foreign empire, because no legal system which saved the travelers. Therefore, if somebody would like to, for example, organize some trade, travel to areas out of empires, and for example, offshore, according to modern terms, Phoenician cities, Byblos, Sidon, Tyros, located in the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea, out of each empire. Therefore, everybody traveled freely and safely into cities and making trade, making offers. Okay, if we are looking at history of cities, each period there is we can define urbanization potential. How many people might live in cities? It's depend on the carrying capacity of agriculture and non-urban population density. And the urbanization potential located and defined between these lines. If we are looking at cities, we can define in the historical past three forms of the cities. The first form of the city, open city. Open city, for example, Athens. Recently is a capital of Greece, but historically this was a polis, independent state. In Athens had three parts. Athens, this is the capital. How the name is a port. I forgot. It's too late for the lecture after 6 o'clock. Okay, harbor and the rural area. If somebody had a citizenship, it's no problem the location. It's valid, the citizenship everywhere. We might live in capital, rural area, or the port or the harbor. This is the open city. For example, this story continued in Greek and later on the Roman Empire. For example, Saint Paul was a crucial person of the biblical story. Lived in Jerusalem, but he had a Roman citizenship. Location and the logic not important. Had a citizenship. It's valid everywhere inside of the empire. This is the open city. Second one, a closed city, like in the Middle Ages. You remember, wall inside, it's inhabitant of city with privileged status. Outside, it's a medieval feudal world. Therefore, the wall which separated the peasant, the serf, and the citizens. And the subject is city, this is the modern city. This is the modern city. No individual privileged status, and the modern state destroyed the privileges of cities and unified whole of the legal system. Okay, look at the Roman times. Roman times and Roman Empire was the most typical example of urban evolution. If we are looking at expansion of Roman Empire started from Italian peninsula, and very interesting, it's a map not able to show well, but each of conquered area directed by Roman Empire one city, occupied one city, and the city council not only directed the city but the region which connected to the city. If, for example, northern part of Africa, no city, founded a new city. And the city council directed not only the city, but the province around the city. Therefore, it was a city cells, it's a huge city cells construction around the Mediterranean Sea, which is the most important innovation of Roman Empire. The first is a capital. Population of Rome on the heyday, in the 2nd century Anno Domini, 1.5 million. 1.5 million. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Why survived the ruins and the monuments of Roman Empire? Because population of Rome decreased so much that wasn't able to distribute the bricks. Population of Roman Empire, population of Rome on the Roman Empire, 1.5 million. On the 15th century, on the great Renaissance Pope period, 50,000. 50,000. Therefore, it's dwarf, became a dwarf city. Therefore, the Capitolium and any other monuments survived. No needs for, and this is one indicator. The second one, 1.5 million. The same urbanization level, European civilization was able to produce only in the 19th century. London. Why? Because living together, 1.5 million, necessarily construct the routes, highways, channels, logistical system, feeding, distribution, and so on and so on and so on. It's very complex organization. Therefore, if we try to understand the nature of the history, it's not a continuous linear evolution. It's up and down, up and down. For example, 1,500 years wasn't able to reach the same level which reached and produced in the age of Roman Empire. Okay, Rome. The second one, the road system, the communication system. It's legendary. The Roman routes, the Roman highway network was able to make a very quick communication system inside of the. And the last one, economy. Because each empire based to the economy. Good. Rome, according to legend, founded 753 before Christ. Central position in the Mediterranean Sea, and basically homogeneous historical ecosystem. Homogeneous historical ecosystem. Basically, same plants produce everywhere. Which are the same plants? Wheat, olive, and
Oranges, maybe?
no. Olive and wine.
Ah.
This is the Mediterranean polyculture. For example, even in Hungary, in western part of Hungary named Pannonia, a Roman conqueror distributed the wine. Or Britannia in England, or Germania in German area, or even France distributed the wine and olives. For example, I read that even in Black Sea area distributed the olives, and the olives until the Middle Ages survived, olive trees. And recently, to my last memories, in consequence of global warming, returned the olive trees in the Rhine valleys. And in Hungary, the first generation of the classical vineyards made by Romans. This was the Mediterranean polyculture, which it's a fingerprints of Roman. Up here, olives, wine, and the wheat. Those are fingerprints of appearance of Romans. This is the Roman roads. This was a quite complex construction. It's a dike, make a dike, and filled with different sand and broken roots, and finally it's covered by stones. And this complex engineering construction survived with centuries of collapse of Roman Empire. Not by chance, the first function of the routes it's military communication, and the secondary it's economic communication. And not by chance, it was a great advantages of former area of Roman Empire that the Roman routes survived a collapse of Roman Empire, and for the next generation of next empire, next kingdom, used for the communication and increased the speed of communication. Therefore, quite quickly was able to mobilize the legions, the Roman army, one part to other of empire. And economy of empire, it was agrarian society, therefore 90% of income of empire came from agriculture. It's quite unflexible because in agriculture no wonder, it's 10% up, 10% down. Three forms of agrarian farms existed: the peasant farms, the latifundia. It was a great construction based through the slave works, and the veteran farms, a little bit same like peasant farms, but received the legionnaires after the 20 years service. Okay, this is a good example, expansion on, for example, southern France of Roman agriculture. Very important weakness of Roman agriculture that was able to transform to arable land only the light soil. Later I will return to this problem. Okay, which was the ecological background of great success of Roman Empire. This was the Roman climate optimum, quite a warm period. Not by chance occupied Germania, Britannia and Pannonia, because on that time, between the third and before Christian, the third after Anno Domini, this was a quite warm period, Therefore, the ecological background, it's increased toward the continental area. For example, olive trees in the Rhine valleys, vineyards, Britain and Pannonia, and Roman bridge on southern Carpathians. Why so important indicator and evidence of warm climate region? Because it's a classical Roman bridge which made two lot of pillars. Because this was the weakness of technology, of engineering, not able covering large distance, and a lot of pillars. And on the time, which constructed by Trajan, Emperor Trajan, at the beginning of 2nd century, used for 1.5 century. And on the time, the Danube surely never frozen over. Why? Because it's frozen over, the pillars should to be destroyed. And because 1.5 century survived this bridge on the Danube, it's indirect evidence that never frozen over. This is the location of the bridge. It's iron gate because it's crossing through the mountain area of southern Carpathians, starting from the Black Forest and arrive to the Black Sea and locate somewhere here. Good. Okay. So this is the last slide. Short survey. Which are the most important reason of collapse of Roman Empire? Invasion of barbarians, lot of epidemics, weak and overstocked administration. It's a normal reaction of the politician. If there is a problem, increase the bureaucracy, even not only the Roman Empire, even now. And incompetent emperor kill each other. Therefore, it's an average service time of emperor is 7 months, because in consequence of unsecure political condition, killed each other, and which is the last reaction, increase the rate of taxing, the heavy burden for the contemporaries, and the contemporaries escaped the rural area and mountain, therefore decreased the real income of the government. Good. Okay, this is the last slide today. Thanks a lot for your collaboration and have a nice evening.